Yo, yo, yo. Um, so I feel like I look old. um, well, I am older. I turned 32 years old this month. And it's not like I have, like, I don't know, regretted my life or anything. Um, I know that any decision or situation I'm in, or, when it comes to work, career, and things like that, like, to some extent, my doing or my kind of like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. There are there are like systemic things and things of privilege that, yeah, I've had opportunities and I haven't had opportunities, and even in my life I've had opportunities and not taken them, or decided that they weren't for me for whatever reason. I don't know, this I just finished reading this book, Stoner by John Williams, and I've never found myself feeling um, so aware, or not ashamed, but aware of a title. Like when I'm reading the book, when I would read the book, and people would be like, "Oh, stoner," and it has one meaning, and most people might think when they see a book called Stoner that it's about someone who smokes weed. And I'm sure that book is out there, but this book is about this man named William Stoner and his life. And I guess it made me think about my life, and um, not that I'm 64-year-old man. I'm exactly half that age. But there's these moments early on where he he writes about working on his studies, and his daughter is in the room, and she's sitting there, and she's just writing and reading, doing her own thing. She's this little kid, and she just loved being in his presence. And it reminded me of me and my little sister when she would come with me to the cafe when she was little. And I would be like writing or reading, and she would be there as well, just kind of either playing or watching something on the phone, or trying to read because I'm making her read, or uh, drawing or whatever it was. Just her being there used to make me so happy when she was little. And now, I mean, she's grown. She's not grown up, but she's much older. She's like 15 or 16. She's 15. But I don't know. The book just made me think a lot about not just my life, but the life of the people around me, and how he organized these characters, and how he portrays these characters in this one character's life is. I keep telling people I had never heard of the book, um, and the book was so beautiful as I read it, and I'm sure I like came upon it in threads. It was like books similar to The Remains of the Day or whatever. But The Remains of the Day, it was like it's in the zeitgeist. Like it's got a film that was nominated for Oscars and all this stuff, and it's this like beautiful piece about a butler. Not It's not just about a butler, but um, the main character is a butler. And this book Stoner kind of came out of nowhere, and I bought it, and it's like it didn't exist or something, and then it just came into my life, and maybe it did, and I missed it. Like there's so many fucking books out there, like Clarice Lispector. I feel like is another one who up until recently I never heard of, and I feel like I see her name everywhere now. It's like these little things that align in your life that, and then I joke and I tell people, like this book didn't exist. It just didn't exist, and now it exists. Um, but only because I found it recently, and it did exist, and it's clear it existed, but um, I got so much out of it, and I guess I'm a little bit more emotional because I had this like not even an argument. It was just my mom kind of like telling me shit, and she's like, "Oh, you're just like your dad. You have no want for more in life or whatever." And it's just, I mean, I don't get mad at her about it. We both experience life differently, and I feel like I've lived so much and experienced so much that I get lost in this kind of profound loss. I don't know if I like make up myself or I just enjoy living in, but I don't know, I care so much about every moment. And there's this section in the book where he has a love affair that I thought was so, I mean, it was a bit like from like what a man would fantasize about having, but it was so lovely and so beautiful for this man who had been who had kind of been been devoid of love in a way, besides those moments with his daughter, um, when she was very young, and then those were taken from him too. And again, this is from the perspective of the man, the man who is William Stoner, because later in the book you realize that his wife was also, there's a compelling character there, and that's someone who was kind of forced into a marriage or kind of cornered into a marriage, or for whatever reason decided that she would marry him and then hated it, and was miserable for most of it. So, um, of course, the man has this affair, and it's a very fan- fantastical kind of situation. But I thought um, a very lovely kind of moment for this character. And there's this moment at the end of their affair where the woman's like, "Well, at least we'll have this, right?" And yeah, you see it and hear it in film all the time or whatever. Like, but I don't know. It was just it all just kind of came together so beautiful. And there's some spoilers or whatever, but the book opens with him dying. It's like after his death, how the book opens, and then his life, his story is told. But I just couldn't stop crying the last pages or so. Of how there is loss in this world, and there is like hard things. There is like a lot that everyone goes through, and they're filled with moments of happiness. Like today, I woke up. I went, where'd I ago. I went for a run. I hated it. I hated it today. Like, I ran 5 miles. I ran 6 yesterday. I ran 5 today. But on the way there, I remember there was a new cafe that opened in Westlake, um, across the street from MacArthur Park, and I thought that was a beautiful thing to happen. I don't know why MacArthur Park is such a has a bad name for itself now, um, due to so many people addicted to drugs who wander around it and kind of have made it their home. So I went to the cafe and I sat there, I drank my matcha, and then um, Elsa was texting me because we were gonna go to the movies to see Sentimental Value, and I showed up to Elsa's, had breakfast with her, and then on our way to the movies, there's a festival going on, and she was worried about losing her parking space, so she dropped me off at a cafe, and she left, and then I started to think about my day and blah blah blah, and I showed up to this cafe, and um, beautiful people in and out of it, and as this kind of happiness, I took a seat outside, and one of the baristas showed up who's very beautiful, and she smiled at me, and that smile was like the peak of the time at the cafe, and then it kind of started to feel miserable, and the longer I stayed at the cafe because I was waiting for my cousins who didn't show up till 3 p.m., the more miserable and kind of angry at the sun and at all the situation, just me like spending all this time at the cafe, and I was working on um, writing another book for a friend, and then my cousin showed up, and at that point, I was like a little distraught just with my day because it kind of took a turn. Then I came home, made myself a sandwich, then walked to another cafe, and I sat there and I was watching my game. And I go to Little Tokyo because I love seeing people. I mean, yes, some beautiful people, but also just people. And the people are so happy there. They're like with their families and their loved ones and their kids. And it's such a beautiful thing. There's literally people just enjoying their time, and having a great day. So I love that, and I try and go there. If I have a day off, I'll try and end my day there because Monday through Sunday, it's always people having fun. And then Andy showed up, and he told me he got me my Christmas present, and it was in his bag. And we chatted about the day, and made jokes. And my team won, the Chicago Bulls, and then he left, and then I got to finish reading this beautiful book, and one gets so caught up and lost when there's so much that's beautiful, and the friend that I saw this morning, she's like 85 years old, and life means two different things for us. She's lived this long life, whereas I'm, if fortunate enough, will get another 32 to 50 years, or if at least I live as long as my dad lived, I have another 19 years ahead of me, which is wonderful, or however long I live, I don't know. I'm just, yeah, these aren't like tears of sadness or whatever. They're tears of living, you know. I wouldn't have been able to cry at this book had I not lived